Okay, thank you for the lovely intro of Project 90 by 2030. And I'm Lydia Petersen, and I represent that organization here today. She also mentioned that the organization is an environmental justice organization inspiring and mobilizing South African society towards a sustainably developed and equitable low-carbon future, and that is who Project 90 by 2030 is. They collectively worked with other organizations, renowned organizations, let me put it that way, like SAFC, the Green Connection, EarthLife Africa, Johannesburg, and the Quebec Alert Alliance, of who I am the spokesperson. I don't hear that. It is a loose connection of environmental as well as anti-nuclear activists. So today, my segment will focus on nuclear energy. And it is a topic that very few of us know about. And we have mobilized and tirelessly in the communities to address not only the climate crisis, but nuclear issues as well. So let's go and see where we get at. So today, as I said, I will speak on nuclear and how it favors the powers in charge, and not the poor and vulnerable of our society. People have told me countless times, and I have proof of that on a video, that I am too confrontational and I'm too in your face. But I believe in confronting the truth, as my silence will be a betrayal to the vulnerable and disadvantaged communities out there. So the government is pushing for more nuclear, and the planned extension of the Quebec nuclear plant will inevitably place a huge burden on already cash-strapped communities. I cannot seriously understand how they can do this. Oh no, this is not part of the presentation, it's just coming up here quickly. So the planned extension is being done since 2022. They've started to refurbish the plant at a cost of, to be quite honest with you, it's 20 billion or 20 million, but it's a hell of a lot of money. So it's been in the planning, so Unit 1 and Unit 2 came online respectively 1984 and 1985. So Eskom wants this plant to continue. The government, which is Eskom, wants the plant to continue for another 20 years. So the narrative from the government and the pro-nuclear lobbyists says that nuclear is the cheapest and cleanest form of energy, and that seems to defy the logic. The planned extension of Quebec is shrouded in secrecy. Information to communities is not accessible to make an informed decision or a choice whether we need to say yes to the extension of this plant. If I look at the amount of waste, nuclear waste, that is stored at that plant, which the NNR in their regulatory, I think it's section 47 says that it should not be at a plant, a generating plant, because it is highly radioactive and it is dangerous. The other levels of waste, which will be the low level and the intermediate level, is taken to Valpoort in the Northern Cape. And they say that that is a storage facility. I say it is a dump site, because you cannot not involve the communities that lives around that plant and just decide for 30 odd years, yeah, we're going to take it there. So when I personally and other civil organizations have said to the NNR, to Eskom, to NEXA, have these communities been involved, consulted about this? They just shrug their shoulders. And then they would tell me also in a nice way that this is the legacy of the apartheid era. And then my answer would be back to them, but you are continuing with it. You are allowing these communities to be subjected to highly radioactive waste coming to their communities, and they have no say at all. So recently at COP28, more than 20 countries made a pact to triple nuclear energy build, as the world is trying to meet net zero emissions. Nuclear has the game changer stamp on it, and how I wish personally that the world will realize their thirst for nuclear power will burden many generations with dangerous radioactive material for thousands of years. This is no ordinary waste that you can just, if you look at yourself in the kitchen, ladies and gents as well, you take your waste out of your house, you put it in a bin, and the refuse collector will come on a Monday or any other day to come and collect it. This is not that kind of waste that you can just put in a bin and let it go. If we say that we have to reduce our waste disposal on dump sites because of the methane emissions, what more do we have to say for nuclear waste that's being dumped on people's doorstep in the Northern Cape and on our doorstep here in the Western Cape at Koeberg, which is about 30 kilometers from here. So there are public hearings going on from Saturday, the 3rd, the 10th, and the 17th, where the public has the opportunity to say that no, we do not want this nuclear plant to continue. Because first of all, there is no information available to the public, notwithstanding what civil society via Save Bantam's Clip and SAFSI has done over the last couple of months, and with Project 90 also working side by side in getting the information that we need to make these rational decisions where we say it must be the people before profits. I will not be long. I just want to tell you something like this. So I am on a lot of Zoom meetings and where I discuss with communities about the just energy transition, what is our power mix, our energy mix, and how the energy is generated. Because many people just think it's about a light switch that you switch on and do not think, where does it come from? How is our energy generated? And my granddaughter, who is 6 years old, and then I would say coal, and I would say this, and I would say that, and she picked up that I would favor renewables. She picked up on that. And then she said, but why don't you talk about that nuclear boom? And why don't you talk about all the other things? So I said, but that is too costly. There's corruption. So she said, is it like stealing? So I said, on the spot. It's like stealing. So she said to me, so why don't they go for renewables, which is solar and wind? And I'm like, okay, that's a good question. So I said to her, well, that's debatable because I'm not in power to make that decisions. Because we have an energy minister that continuously say, like, look, we're not going to uncap this renewable sector, we're not going to do that. So she said to me, I know why they want nuclear. Because they can steal. And the other thing, Lydia, what they can do, they cannot steal the sun and the wind. So that is why they don't want it. That comes from the mouth of a 6-year-old. So she knows what's going on. So our current energy mix does not bode well for the climate crisis we are facing. More cost-effective energy solutions are possible. Centralized renewable energy sectors will lift the poor and the vulnerable above the poverty line. The current costs for electricity and the new IRP 23, which we alluded to before, includes more gas and nuclear, will surely cripple the economy further and irretrievably so. I say fossil fuels, leave them in the ground, let sleeping dogs lie. This current trend will see many communities leaving Eskom behind to embrace renewable technologies. So the lack of energy provision and access clearly infringe on the constitutional and human rights of many. That was the last question in compiling your presentation. So our constitution ensures us of a right to a dignified life. However, the greed for profits sees the lives of many burdened by poor or no access to electricity. The continued push for costly energy sources like nuclear, oil and gas robs vulnerable communities from cost-effective energy solutions. So what does the community do? What is the role of Project 90 and other organizations in the communities? I think CER is still in the building. So I'm part of the class of 22, where I was part of the Rights and Remedies project. So for a month, we were shared information, we were interrogated as to what procedures needs to be followed. And I can stand here today and say that helped me to do mitigation, to learn about the NEMA, the National Environmental Act, how to engage with communities, strengthening them, capacitate them, building them to push back the powers that is profiting and not us. And the necessary to capacitate everyone, like I said. Communities benefit from these capacity building sessions on how to be interveners and do comments and submissions when comment periods are announced. This assists communities in realizing who holds the power, Maya, and the role players, which are the profiteers. And that is my submission for today. Thank you.